This is a video showing you how to draw the Year 9 upholstered stool. I'll take it slowly here to start with. We always start from the origin. We've got this rectangle tool here. If we click once, you'll notice down the bottom right hand corner here there's the dimensions, and as we move the pointer around, those dimensions will change. So basically we can draw any shape and we type in dimensions. So in this case, we type in 85, 19 and press enter. That's going to give us, you can see there, that's going to give us a rectangle with dimensions of 85mm by 19mm. This is the push-pull tool. We'll bring that push-pull tool down to the bottom, and we're going to make this a 3D object. We'll push-pull that up just in the general direction. We can stop there. I'm going to type in 400 and press enter. Let's do that again there. Push it up. Just type 400. Press enter. You don't need to take the mouse pointer down to the dimension box there. Just need to type. Once you draw it, just click off it and just type. I'm going to delete that man there. I keep that there to start just to give a little bit of an idea of scale. So in the leg for the upholstered stool, it has an angle. We're going to pick the tape measure tool up here. From the right hand corner there, we're going to drag across. Just type in 50 and press enter. That gives us a guide point to then draw a line to the bottom of the leg here. Pick up that pencil tool from the very top of the leg, that top left point, click once and then drag down to that guide point, click again. Pick up that push-pull tool, and we're going to use that to subtract that material we don't need. You just push it back until you get to that back edge and click again, and it will disappear. Okay, now we're going to draw the detail in here for the circle. I'm going to pick up the midpoint here. That just comes up. Hover the pencil tool and you'll see the midpoint. I'm going to draw a line 30mm down. So just draw it in that direction and type in 30 and enter. Click the arrow next to the rectangle. You'll see the circle option. So this line's given us a midpoint for our circle. We're just going to click once, click again, and type in 9.5 as a radius, because we use 19mm dowel in this job. That gives us a circle. Use the erase tool to erase those two lines that we don't need. Use the push-pull tool here to push basically into the leg here. I'm going to go 10 deep. So just push in, type in 10, enter. Okay, and you'll see that that gives us that hole for the dowel, which is effectively the handle at the end there, or the rail we call it. Once that's done, we can select the whole piece by two-finger clicking and select Make Component for that leg or leg 1. Now what we're going to do here is make multiple legs. Now this is a little bit tricky as the legs face different directions with the angle at the back there and where the hole sits. I'm just going to copy and paste this component. This is the beauty of component editing in SketchUp. We don't have to draw the leg again. Once we've got it, we can just copy and paste it. Now we can rotate that leg around. However, you'll notice as I orbit around here that the angle of the leg is actually on the wrong side. It's now, from the way we're looking at it here, the angle's on the right side. So we have the two holes facing each other for the rail to go in. However, that angle, as you can see from that point, is on the wrong side of the leg. If we were to rotate a leg, the circle would be on the wrong side. So what we need to do here is actually use the scale tool. Select that component, and this is the scale tool here with that arrow in the right corner. Picks up a whole bunch of dots here. I'm just going to zoom in so I can see. Pick up that middle dot, click on it, and then drag through to the other side. That basically gives us a mirror. Now you'll see down in the dimension box it's picked up -1. That's what we want. So that's basically a direct reflection. And you'll see now that that edge detail, that angle, is on the right side, which is what we want. Now we're going to copy and paste those two legs now that we've got them working together. Again, you'll notice that we need to flip these legs around. So we're going to select them and make them a group. So 2-finger click, make group. That's going to allow us to rotate them as one piece. Pick up that move tool, you'll see the plus sign. That allows us to rotate. Once we've done that, you can see here that it's reflected well. Once we've done that, we can then select the group. 2-finger click and explode. And explode, it basically means unmerge or ungroup, so that then they can move around independent of each other. Okay, now we're going to draw the side. So draw a rectangle and type in 350, 19 and press enter. So have that rectangle, select the push-pull tool, click once, drag up in that general direction. I'm going to type in 70 and press enter. And select the whole side, 2-finger click, make component, call it side, press enter. Now we're going to draw the end in, basically the same steps. This time we're going to enter in 19, 250, because we drew it on that different axis there, and push pull up 70 and press enter. So the main thing there is we started with 19. You can still type in the dimensions the other way, it just means you need to rotate it. Same thing there, make it a component, call it the end. Okay, now we're going to look at putting these components together. Just a bit of copy and pasting here. I'm going to pick up the mouse pointer and double click on the leg. That lets us edit the component. Pick up the tape measure tool here. Select a line and type in 60. create a guide point at 60 below. Now because we added that leg there, you'll notice that edit is then reflected on all the other legs. So you can see a guide point has been created on all the other legs. If we didn't want to do that, we'd have to click on the component or right click on it and say make unique, but in this instance we want that guide point, so it's been reflected in all the legs. The reason that is so we can then drag up the sides and the ends to that guide point, because we want that to be 60mm below. We drag up the side there by using the move tool. We want that hanging off the edge there. And get that move tool and select the guide point and drag it towards the end there. It looks funny now, but we actually want that end hanging off the edge like that. That's the side that it's going to connect to. And we're going to get the side here and just pick it up, and from that end point, it's always better moving components by selecting points at the end to marry up to. Same with guide points. Since we're going to pick up that guide point and drag it to the end there. See, we're just basically constructing the stool here. I'll select that side, simply copy and paste it, and use that move tool to then select that end point and marry it with the end there. Okay, this is a process repeated basically, so we're going to grab that guide point of the leg and bring it to the side. Mouse pointer there into mid-air, that's always a good way of deselecting a component. We're going to select the end component there and paste it. It's our last point we need across here for this main part of the carcass. And there's the carcass of the stool, or the main parts of the carcass of the stool done. And mouse point here and just on mid-air there, I like to do that just to clear all selections. I'm going to pick up the circle tool here, and so you have trouble here with getting it on the vertical plane. If I hover over the leg there, you'll see that's made it on the vertical plane. Draw a circle and type in 9.5 as the radius. So a 19mm diameter circle. I'm going to push pull that 270mm. Orbit around until you can highlight that rail. And two-finger click, make component. Type in rail. Press enter. Now circles or cylinders are hard to move around generally in SketchUp and match them up point to point. So what we're going to do here is actually pick up the move tool, pick up the midpoint of that circle there. I'm going to drag that to the midpoint of the leg at the top there. That's going to line it up vertically with our hole. It's very difficult to join a cylinder to a circle. So basically going to drag it to the top there, and then we're going to move it relative to where it should be. We bring the move tool here, click on that axis and move it down, or in that general direction of down. Sometimes it plays a few funny games here. Drag it down in that general direction. I'm going to type in 20.5 and press enter. That will get it lined up with the holes. Now I've actually got to move it from right to left here. So once you get it heading in that direction, type in 10 and enter. And that's going to move it into that hole on the left. Remember, if you struggle with any of these instructions, you can always rewind the video and go back. I'm going to repeat this process here. Instead, I'm not going to draw that component again. I'm going to copy and paste it. Again, you're going to line up the top of the cylinder here, so the midpoint of the cylinder. So pick up that move tool, identify the midpoint of that cylinder there, end point, line it up with the midpoint of the leg. It will show up. I'm going to zoom in on that rail, the move tool. Move it directly down, type in 20.5, enter, and then you can see we need to move this right. We need to move that right 10 millimeters, so type in 10 and enter. That will ensure that rail moves into both those holes. This is important later when we draw an orthogonal drawing and layout. Okay, now we're going to draw our base and top. A rectangle here, 312,250. And we're going to extrude that or push pull up 17 millimeters. 2-finger click, make component, call it the base. We're going to move this piece into the bottom. It's actually going to sit inside the carcass here. I'm going to pick up that bottom piece here and may need to orbit around a little bit. Actually located the bottom of the leg there just to give it a bit of a point. It's sometimes easier to drag along other components. You'll see that sits inside the carcass there, that base. Now we're going to draw the top. Type in dimensions 330, 278. I'm going to push pull that 17 millimeters again, as that's the size of our plywood. I'm going to select that, make component. Type in hinged lid and create. So I'm going to move, so bring out that bottom point there of the top, and to just marry it up with the leg at the moment, you can see that that top's smaller than what's required. That's because we have an upholstered stool, so we need to leave enough room for the fabric on all the edges. See that that's 10 mil off here, so what we're going to have to do is drag that top 5 millimeters to the right, so we have a 5 mil gap on both sides. But start dragging that in that direction and type in 5 and press enter. Now what we're going to do is pick up the tape measure tool again and see what the distance here is, just to check. Run that tape measure along and you can see that that distance is 20. So we're going to have to move this top over 10 millimeters from right to left here. Type in 10, enter. That will give us a 10 mil gap on the sides and 5 mil at the front and back for the upholstery. Now we're going to draw a rectangle 330 by 278, and this is for the foam piece. Extrude that or push pull it out at 40 millimeters. Now what we're going to do here is actually draw a chamfer around this just as an exercise. Pick up that tape measure tool, get a guide point of 5 millimeters. Press type in 5 and enter. Same thing down that side. And join those two guide points. So they're two 5 mil guide points with a 45-degree line there. I'm actually going to pick up a special tool called the Follow Me tool. I'm going to press on View Tool Palettes and Large Tool Set. It'll bring up that dialog box here on the left, and the Follow Me tool is this one here. We're going to orbit around so we have something like that. Click on the Follow Me tool, click once, and then outline or follow that whole top edge around back to the start again. And click again. What that will do is create that 45-degree profile or chamfer around that whole top edge. It's a really neat tool for when you need to create a profile around any shape. It will go around circles and everything. Okay, so once that's done, we can get the mouse pointer tool and create a component. Call that the cushion. And we can drag that cushion on top. And that's our Year 9 upholstered stool drawn. To create your own textures and import those, and to render and animate the stool, please follow along the video to the Year 11 bow front cabinet and apply the same procedures in that video to the stool.